Okay, game three. More adaptations. We're going to see Scion again from 369. This time taking away Gwen. They're going to get Kennen instead, which is equally dominant into the matchup, but has a little bit of a difference in the games. Now, we saw Vayne hovered earlier, and actually it's picked now to pair with the Lulu. So, big hype in this matchup. Vayne is coming down, and Elk has been on point. On has been on point, and if these are your two best players right now, then why not give them the Vayne Lulu show and give them a chance to carry. Now, I do like what they have set up. Much different from last time we saw Kha'Zix. This time with two AP laners and two engagers means that the fight is going to scatter out on your terms, and Kha'Zix and Vayne are going to love that scenario. So they're going for this T-bone type team fight strategy where everything's going to come together. You're going to engage together front and back, right? Make that T. And when you make that T position, hopefully you're going to get some amount of scatter where Kha'Zix can isolate and deal maximum damage, and Vayne can hard carry. Now, Kha'Zix probably won't go for an E upgrade until level 16. It's probably going to go for W and for Q. But we'll see if they decide to change anything up based on the shapes of the fights and how they're going. On the other side, we've got Knight on Jace, and this has been something so hotly contested in LPL games, just going for that instant prio on any Jace lane, and then going with Zeri Rakan to match this up. Now, Rakan versus Vayne can actually have a lot of troubles because Rakan wants to go in. You've got Vayne that can either dash away from it or condemn as in response, and one of the things that you can do as Vayne versus Rakan's engage is sidestep it and then condemn away the other carry and then go 2 versus 1 into Rakan. Now, Rakan will have the ability to jump back to Zeri, so we'll see how those fights continue out. But any sort of continued single target DPS trade is going to favor Vayne basically every time. Now, the other thing this will do is Zeri, who normally has a little bit of a weaker lane phase, is going to be able to actually be the alpha in this lane against the Vayne. Vayne just has, such a difficult time in lane. Very hard to find those windows. You really, if you can push the limit and you see Zeri use a couple cooldowns or Rakan use a couple cooldowns, what they may try to do is continue a fight despite the minions using the Lulu buffs to just continue a fight like this one, right? Boom, boom, boom. Nope, see that right there? Missed opportunity by Elk. Could have gone further in. They could have dealt more damage to Rakan or at least go up into Ruler's face a bit, knowing that missing is unlikely to come back. Now, what they don't want to do is have him come back with his shield, right? They want to continue to harass. Good job, I've been here with the counter poke. They want to continue harassing. Don't let him get the shield back, because if the shield comes back, then he'll be able to continue harassing this lane. Now, Jace is going to is going to push for here. Baits a little bit. You're going to see this constant, more in mid lane than any other lane. You see the backs, the faked backs, the stop backs. Can I freeze into your face? Sort of things, and we constantly get these decisions. But this was something that Faker got wrong yesterday and got ganked twice. This time, Knight showing a little bit more respect and is able to step back and avoid Kha'Zix here. You see that even the small things like stepping to the left side of the lane instead of the right, because your jungler is on the left side and you know that Kha'Zix could stop your back if you go right. So small micro movements like that can matter. Now, Jace is going to look to hard shove this wave. Annie is already teleporting. No, he opts not to. All right, says I can't get the whole wave in, so I'm not even going to try. And wants to keep it right here, but I would have preferred to see him get the rest of the wave, make it so that it's just the cannon there, and so as Annie's trying to go for last hits, you'd be able to poke her. She can't really hit you back because she'll take the wrath of all the other minions, and then they'll go under turret and be impossible to last hit. Kanabi a little bit lazy here, not using the Q to go over the wall means he's spotted by a ward. Maybe doesn't care. But because he shows on bottom side means that Kha'Zix is going to feign a little bit of aggression. Kha'Zix not realizing that he's spotted right here by the ward on 369. But it doesn't really matter. You just show, and it doesn't even matter if you get hit. Now, slight mistake from Bin. You actually want to keep your stun in your pocket to answer the Q charge up, right? Scion, if you constantly keep Scion on two stacks as the Kennen, then you can say that every time that you go up for a Q, we'll just take you out, stun you, and you won't be able to finish the charge. The counter to that from Scion will be to just go a little bit further up front. Now Elk having to flash away. Now they're going to look to continue the fight. Flashes down. You've avoided some of the damage. The way that you can win that is by continuing the trade, but opting not to. They know that the strength was on their side. Sejuani, however, being on the right side could spell problems. Now, Zeri might be looking to hard push this wave. It is a cannon, so what you normally do in this situation is stack it up. Beautiful play by Bin, though. Let's check it out. Uses the flash and the ultimate to dodge the damage there from Scion, get the stun to follow up, and he gets a huge HP lead for himself. So we'll see what he's able to do, and this is really the cannon prerogative in this meta, and why we see it banned so often. But what I was saying there about Vayne and Lulu, if they use cooldowns of their spells and you use flash to avoid it, you can continue the fight. That is a base rule. That is a fundamental principle of League of Legends. You have more damage up. They have more mobility. Force them to use their flash back. Now, we do see 3v3, little counter gank from Sejuani. Q flash, able to get Elk, knowing that he doesn't have the flash, and Kanabi showing why he's the best. Goes up, Ruler trying to flash and getting the flash from Lulu as well. So now we have a summoner spell less bot lane from BLG, and expect JDG to keep on going for it. Sejuani is the highest tempo jungler in the game, being able to take as many of those plays as she wants, always getting healthy, has the aftershock so that she can be the one tanking the turret shots as well. Love the pairing with Jace as well. So you've got two alphas that can move around the map, and they should be able to take stake claim for themselves. And it's really going to be on Elk to play out of their minds this game if they want to have a chance. Largely, they could expect Kennen to get something like a 40 CS lead over this Scion here, but Scion's always going to be useful in these fights. The problem is, for Scion, Vayne, the best answer in the game against you. Even better than Gwen, right? You never hit Vayne. There's nothing Scion should ever be able to do to a Vayne at this level. If you can picture every response to every ability that Scion could possibly do, Vayne has an answer, right? And that's what mechanics are. Turning what's in your brain onto the battlefield, making it happen. Now, Vayne perhaps looked like they had E cast on Ruler, missed a window to get Rakan pinned to the wall there. Can't be slowed. Good job by the videographers there catching that. Lulu trying to peel with the Q. But just tremendous play by Sejuani getting in like that. All right, what are we going to find for Kha'Zix? Second time through the jungle, has his blue buff, is about to pick up red. This will be the first time in the game that he's going to feel any amount of strength. But that said, it's 8:30 and he's only now hitting level 6. So way behind the tempo in this game. Hasn't gotten anything really for themselves. Kennen opting to break the freeze, wants to keep even wave states here. One of the things that can happen against a Scion when you try to freeze is they can try to break it with their HP bar, right? They can just go and say, okay, you can hit me, I'll stand in the middle of the wave and I'll just actually crash this in, force you to stay nearby. Now we're going to stop. Rakan's going for the engage, sees a dash onto Ruler and get in, and they get the upfront play, but Annie, as always, is ready for the counter engage, and they're able to get it back. Now Vayne's going to have to step back. 50 gold goes into the pocket of Knight, killing the Tibbers. Beautiful play there by Rakan. And we're going to see more of those plays. Going for Hex Flash. Ooh. Yagao trying to catch him. If Knight was able to get that fireball to hit both the minions and the Jace, then you would have put the Q onto the minion and get the turret shot, because that extra HP would matter coming back. Instead opting to just get upfront damage, say, all right, that's fine, I'm going to deal some damage to you because I'm teleporting back to lane. And again, you see this every single time. Taking it to the maximum. If you're about to recall, use all of your resources before you get back, and that's something that JDG has done better than any team in this tournament. Now, one of the reads that you can make on people is on your enemies, if they're always going to go for that, then you can bait the interaction. You can say, all right, I know that you're going to go press. Well, all right, hey, I suspect that this person's going to try to back soon. That means they're going to be aggressive while they're low. If you make the wrong step of aggression, if you can sneak your jungler in behind their turret, for example, in one of those moments, then you can exploit that strategy. Here we're going to get a Rift Herald going off with Ruler on top. They split the gold with the jungler. They're going to get 2 plates. Happy with that trade. Vayne's going to be happy picking up this wave as well. And we actually do have a swap coming in play. Sion does not get this wave all the way under. It gets it partially under and is looking to come back. It looks like they wanted to just drop the Herald up there, give some extra plates to Vayne, or extra plates to Zeri, and then swap her back to the bottom lane. And that's exactly what they're doing here. Like to see these movements around the map from the AD carries, right? Not just plug and play into one spot, but move. Make a movement and then get some gold, then swap, right? These are much more impactful deviations to your macro style. Yeah, I don't know if that's bugged or not. That's the change of Kha'Zix showing. Did you see how long the isolation proc was there? It feels like Kha'Zix is getting isolation no matter what. But it would be interesting to see where... I know that they changed it to make it more forgiving, and that's where they were tempering whether or not this champion would be stronger. They ended up giving him slightly more power because the change didn't give him everything, but that's not the patch that they're on. But it would be interesting if players have realized that there's a window that it's just like, yeah, you basically get to queue everything. And as Kha'Zix, if that's the case, then it means that you basically get to win every smite fight because your Q smite combo is going to be so strong. Zun yesterday was able to outsmite a few times and probably steal a victory with one of them yesterday. So we'll see if it comes down to that again today. But largely these LPL fights, they don't come down to who's standing off at the Baron and who's going in. They tend to fight their way through and say fight. We'll figure out the fight, and then whatever's left at the end is what we pick up. But it could happen. Kha'Zix can be sneaky like that. Now we see Umbral Glaive being finished. This is always going to be the first purchase on Kha'Zix. He's going to try to take some semblance of control of the map while Sejuani gets more done. Sejuani definitely much stronger here. You see it especially with the Lucid Boots purchase and the fact that they're going for components right here. Bami's Cinder to help with the clear and a little bit of extra damage. You don't actually need Sunfire, right? Bami's Cinder is the majority of the power of Sunfire. As strong as Sunfire is, you're just very happy taking Bami's Cinder first, and then you'll finish off your item. Much in the same style that champions like Lucian would take Serrated Dirk and then finish their mythic and then go for the rest. But you see the early power of Sejuani getting a dash into the ultimate in the face of Yagao. Means that Knight is able to take that up and get some plates for himself. You see that, importantly, junglers will never go after. They'll never leech this. The supports and junglers will step away, try to give solo plates to the people who use gold better. These are the roles that scale off of levels. You just need base levels on your champions. Now, Elk stepping forward, but it's into the ultimate. Gets the ultimate from Ruler. So now when they do recall, they should be able to get a fight for themselves. The problem is, can they actually get this recall off? Elk being super greedy and staying. Kanavi, where are you going? Please come back. Two things I'd like to see changed here. One, I'd like to see Kanavi turn around. And second, before this even happens, the play that we haven't really seen any of, the manipulation of top laners and having them go towards the top lane. Now, we don't actually see Sion's keystone. I'm guessing that he has Summoner Spellbook. I didn't take notice of it before. The 467 that you see is the extra health that he's been gaining all game because the fans have been liking it. But imagine if you could have followed that play up with the fact that Sion was charging into this lane. You would have had a pre-macro movement set on him. It would have gotten you 2 kills and the turret. Zeri would already be back on the map. You would have been able to pick up the same wave, all at the cost of 2 waves in top lane. Maybe you give up another plate. That's the other thing. You'd give up another plate to the Kennen. But then you'd also be potentially 3v1 into the Kennen. 369 using an early flash. Did he just go flash exhaust? I'm going to try to keep an eye on him, see what he's got. Obviously, we'll see if a new summoner spell comes out. But did not take stock of that in the beginning of the game. Been playing the ranges against the Sion perfectly. That's why they love this pick so much. And again, being able to just lock down Sion. He can never charge a Q against you if you play perfectly. But we see Sork shoes into Rocket Belt. So no lucid boots. Kennen is going to go for all out damage. Because he's pen, that means Annie is definitely going to go lucid. And she's going to go Shattered Queen as well. So they're going to go together with as many engages from Annie as possible, making herself faster, making it so that there's less chunk back damage. It's the time to kill versus her is going to be a little bit longer. She's got this stopwatch, which will turn into a Zhonya's, and then we might see something like Cosmic Drive or even something a little bit tankier to finish the build. Have seen Dead Man's Plate before. Don't expect to see it here, but honestly, the extra move speed and the fact that it's extra armor against 3 AD and 0 AP comp, I'd be totally okay with it. The Zhonya's are going to carry lots of extra effect in this game. Kennen, who sometimes goes for full damage, sometimes doesn't go Zhonya's, but it is still so good for him, and especially in a composition like this where the majority of the magic damage is the ancillary Zeri damage, right? Like 35% of Zeri's damage, give or take, is going to be magic. That is the extent of magic damage on this comp. So could see him potentially go for early Zhonya's, just knowing it's going to carry that much more weight. But they do have 3.5k gold lead for themselves, 3.2. Most of it being on Ruler and on Knight, the two champions that want it the most, absolutely. Sion's going to be scaling up no matter what. And you see this fight, they just want this long-standing fight. Same sort of theme as last game. Poke damage from Jace, long-range poke, and then try to blow up a fight with Sejuani and Sion and have Zeri clean up the ashes. The problem is that will feed into Kha'Zix's and Vayne strategy exceptionally well. They want this big blow-up fight. So it'll be really interesting to see how these teams shape up the team fights, what kind of angles they're looking to take, and what kind of discretion they want to use for their engages. This is exactly what Kha'Zix wants. Lulu with the Flash Wild Growth, able to get the knock up so that Kha'Zix can get a kill for themselves. That is huge. That is going to catapult him ahead in this build. Bin getting slightly caught out, using the ultimate to no avail, or to no strength, I should say. They were not following up on that. So Bin will be very weak coming up here. No ulti, no flash. Means that really for 5 minutes, you're not going to get this full effect. And even with this big spike where you go Rocket Belt into Void Staff, where you're just crushing, melting through everybody, skipping Horizon Focus and just going for this, knowing that there's a Sejuani and Sion, means you don't really have that angle. You're not going to be looking for it. And because that's the case, wisely uses teleport. Good job by Annie. Just, I'm going to chunk you out. That's fine. I will trade my cooldowns. Our team's not looking to fight right now. You know that Kennen's got nothing. Kennen just teleported. He's got no flash, no ultimate, no anything. So you know what? Let's get something for nothing. Chunk your health a little bit because we're fairly weak. The problem is that JDG can then call the bluff and say, you know what? They really do have nothing. We can force this. And that's exactly what they do. So now Jace, almost done with Miramana. Zeri going to be finishing item number 2. And you see again this hybridized build path. I don't like seeing it with Caulfield's Warhammer as much as some other items. Caulfield's Warhammer is, in my opinion, one of the least gold effective items in the entire game. We'll see what they turn that into. This build path, I mean, what are some of the options? Essence Reaver is not bad at all on Zeri. Could see something like that. You might want the early Zeal to try to get more damage up front and then go for Essence Reaver so you don't miss out. But let's take a look at this fight. Sejuani just showing what kind of alpha they are. Early game, just seemingly taking no damage in these chunks, even against Vayne. And they're going to chase Vayne. They're going forward. They get the slow into the stun, so forces the flash out. It means that they're able to get the Lulu as well. Bin has no resources as well, so they know they can get that pick. And JDG is just steamrolling this game. Let's see if they go straight over to Baron. They might recall shop and go straight to Baron. The waves are in a fantastic place. If you're Jace, you actually don't want to touch this wave, unless it's the difference between an item and not. So we'll see. He's got Serrated Dirk. He just picked up 2 kills. Actually 3 kills since last time he was in base. So he may have a full item. No, it looks like 1294 gets another component. So he will be strong, make no mistake about it. But let's see what JDG goes. If I'm them, I'm telling them absolutely start controlling the Baron quadrant. They already have a Lingering Vision ward up sitting behind the Krugs. 369 with the bait. Just showing exactly how strong Scion is. Even with all the damage, Kennen going full damage build. Look at this guy, doesn't take anything. And then Sejuani comes up. She takes nothing. Rakan not even in the fight. Did Rakan not have ultimate? All right, so here we go. They're going to push up mid, start sieging up into northern quadrant. They're just going to get a free bin. This is very, very, very bad for BLG. Okay, now there will be no contestation for Baron. Call from BLG now needs to be to try to take things on the opposite side of the map. So Vayne needs to try to get mid turret, and he needs to try to get bottom. Everything on their team is going to be set up for this, and what's going to come next for the siege. You also have to give up this dragon, which will be D3. So enemy team is going to be strong on bot side. So what I want to see is start vision into the western quadrant from the Lulu. You know that you can get mid lane from here. It looks like Vayne's not even going to try. They're also not going full-fledged here for the turret. No, this is a mistake by Annie to not use her ultimate. Tibbers should be laid down 100% here. They would have gotten the turret if Tibbers had been used. Using the stun to brick. And so now BLG gets nothing. Vayne didn't even try for mid. Annie Kha'Zix does not try for bottom. They don't use the Tibbers. They end up having to use it defensively. Now they're completely on the back foot. So I know it's tough, and when you're losing by a lot, it's tough to find the right play, but you have to try to go for the maximum. And that's where major shout out, I've said it before, major shout out to PSG in this tournament. They kept themselves alive by taking the maximum in bad situations, right? You try to read, all right, what's the book? What are they going to do? The book play says they're going to take Baron, recall, and start pushing mid and bot. All right, they're going to play for adjacent lanes, and then they're going to take their vision in the eastern quadrant, move it back to Dragon. And you say, okay, well, the next 2.5 minutes for them is fairly scripted. They are going to control this area, and they're ahead, and they have Baron, so we can't contest that. So right now, let's take the maximum that we can in that area while they're taking Baron. Then we will evacuate that area, we will give it to them, and we will start taking things in the top lane, right? And just go as far as you can in that lane. Give up what's going to be 2 inhibitors and Dragon anyways, but at least you go and get yourself potentially up to 4 turrets. Outer in mid bot, then you can go top, and then you can continue pressing, making the choice to say, hey, we're going to cede these inhibitors to you anyways. Might as well just give them. This is the other choice, which is, hey, they're going to push. Let's try to find an angle. But the truth is you're so far behind. I don't ever see them winning this fight, especially with not having the full arsenal available. Basically, they thought, hey, Kennen, he's got his flash ult, TP, everything is up. Maybe we can find some sort of angle, but really you just accelerated the end of the game here. Sometimes that can be good for your psyche too. Just like go hard. You see it in tennis matches sometimes if you're down like 5-1, 4-1, 4-0. Just go hard. Try to get some confidence on some, explicitly like low percentage plays, but that have the upside of, hey, like, yeah, maybe I get some free points. Maybe I make them work harder for the win. Maybe I can damn their confidence just a bit, but doesn't happen in this time. In fact, you just inflate it. JDG take a thrashing to BLG in this game.